Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live! I'm your host, Justin D. Morgan. We are just about 1 week from VCF East. So I will remind everyone, I got the VCF East or bust goal. The goalometer has been kind of slow to move as of late. I'm glad you join in live streams, and I think after VCF East I'm going to maybe not set a goal for a while, but the Ko-fi link's always in the video description. And let's see here, we have in the chat, we have Kibbs with Retro. Hi, Kibbs. Yes, Kibbs, I refreshed the introduction. We have SadMac356. Hi, SadMac. And we have Jesse I8386SX. Good evening, Jesse. And they are kind of slowing down, and I'm at some... Oh, and we have Callan. Hi, Callan. Yes, at some point I'm going to rework how this particular segment works. Oh, wait a minute. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Before we go to that segment that everyone expects, I got another package that doesn't belong in that segment. So anyways, first we are going to go to the things I bought from the community. And this first box comes to us from Ohio. So you probably know what that means. I mean, I'm sure there's other retro computer sellers in Ohio other than Joe, but if you guessed this is from Joe's Computer Museum, you would be correct. We have, looks like DigiKey packing material. And we have, alright, and we got some anti-static bags here in a cute little box, and we have an invoice from Joe. And Joe is probably jamming out the orders. There's no special note there. Ah! Hi, GeoHam. Welcome. Yes. So what did I order from Joe? I ordered 20 4164 memory chips, because I noticed he had some new old stock memory chips. And I ordered a Blue SCSI kit, and specifically a PowerBook Blue SCSI kit. This might go along with my PowerBook power adapter from last stream, so I'm actually going to put it together so I don't lose the PowerBook Blue SCSI kit. And then we are going to move on to the segment that at some point I am going to rejigger how it works exactly. But everyone's probably waiting for it because I have a few more parts to come, and, well, here we go for the following announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our favorite segment, Wheel of Regrets. Here's your host, Justin D. Morgan.
Hey, who comes up with these titles anyway?
Yes, it is time for Wheel of Regrets, and at least at the moment, we have a few items that I bought. Thanks for trying, Kibbs. Yes, I don't know how Ko-fi works with particular banks and particular types of cards, so... Yes, anyways, so I have a few items that are arriving from eBay that I've ordered, I think, last week. And I don't remember exactly what all these items are, except, of course, If anyone can read the pencil in that envelope, it might be a clue as to what comes from this eBay seller in Florida. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Florida. While I open this, I would like to eventually move Wheel of Regrets to a more occasional segment where viewers get to nominate items that fit certain criteria that we will try on eBay to see if they are good or bad. In other words, are they regrets or not regrets? But what do we have here? We have an AMD we have an AMD K6 II 500 megahertz processor that the seller had listed for the potential regret-inducing price of, and I am trying to bring that up because I forgot to refresh my memory. It was such a low price that I realized it was a potential regret. The order total was $14.66. That does include shipping and tax. Yes, $9.99 for the processor for an AMD K6 II 500. And well, it does look as if all the pins are present and looks like they will go in a socket. All right. So we're not going to test that tonight, but I could not resist a $10 processor. Let me see here. I think I've missed some chat messages. Geoham said, I heard that order on Sunday, I believe. I'm in Ohio as well. Didn't know that's where he was based. Just about an hour from me. Yes. Kim says, I just need that darn piece of plastic. Yep. Yeah, of course, you gotta wait for it. Yep. It's like, and seemingly, you would think banks would want to get you the piece of plastic quickly so you could spend money on it, but no. They usually send it slowest way possible. Thank you, Jesse. If you're talking to me, thank you. And if you're not, someone else will be thanking you. There might be a message that I missed. So, anyways, the next item we have comes to us from Kim says AMD K6 II, aka you won't read. Thank you, Jesse. Yes. All right. So the next item comes to us from an eBay seller in Georgia. So hi to all my viewers and eBay sellers in Georgia. This is one of a few items. Quite honestly, until I open it, I don't remember which one this is. The packing is not helping, except this eBay seller apparently has their own custom packing tape. I am now beginning to wonder if this is even a channel-relevant purchase, but, well, we will see in a moment. Alright, we will rip the custom... Oh, yep, there we go. It's what I thought it was. So, if Tuesday... Kim says, you wouldn't believe how much I struggled to get a bank account. Nearly 1.5 months. Oof. Tuesday, I had an MFM drive, and we plugged it in and it spun up, but I wouldn't have been able to go any further because I did not have the following item. And here, we have an MFM controller. So this is the Western Digital WD1002S-WX2. If I read the specs of this correctly, this does support up to 16 heads and 1,024 cylinders, which should mean that MFM drive will work with this no problem. I did have a viewer reach out and was wondering if that drive was really an MFM drive. And yes, it is an MFM drive, according to the... I forget the name of the book. But yep, I checked. It is an MFM drive, so hopefully this controller will work with it. But, of course, I still can't test that drive because I'm waiting on the cables still. Plus, we'll have to unstiction the drive heads because they're probably stuck in a degraded polyurethane bumper. And then finally, for tonight's Wheel of Regrets, we have a package from an eBay seller in New York. I wish I could say that these are the cables I'm waiting on, but I don't think that's the case. We have... yes. Yes. I was about to say that this is probably either a sound card or a sound card, because I was thinking that's about the only peripheral cards I was waiting on. So we have an IIsi sound card. It is in kind of sad shape, actually, because the game port and the stereo jack there has rust, and the bracket has rust on it. So this was obviously in a case that was left out in the elements. However, as you all are probably noticing, Kim says, an audio don't drive. Yeah. I'm hoping it does work. Anyways, this card has something special on it. If I can get it off the Wavetable header. We have a vintage Wavetable module. Ooh. Yes. It is a WT100 from Digitan Systems. And this is actually for my second PC rebuild project, because I have been looking for the Acer FX3D sound card that has the Wavetable populated, but this Wavetable module is the Wavetable that would have been populated on that card. Ergo, I now no longer need to wait for the card with the Wavetable module on it. I can just plug this in instead, and basically the same thing, because if it had the Wavetable populated, there wouldn't be a Wavetable header. So anyways, that's why I even bothered to buy a rusty sound card, although at some point I'll give this sound card a test. But I'd like to get back to my second PC rebuild project at some point, because I have a lot of the parts for it. Plus, I have a soft spot for awful Wavetable sound cards. Because I used to own one. Or more. Yeah, just because the product says it's a Wavetable sound card doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good Wavetable sound card. Because technically, a Wavetable sound card only has to have a Wavetable on it. It doesn't have to be a good Wavetable. And it could be a quite mediocre Wavetable. Anyways, alright. That's why I bothered to buy that card. And now, that completes tonight's Wheel of Regret segment. If you ever find a potential regret on eBay that you would like to nominate for Wheel of Regrets, especially because I would like to turn it into a more periodic, recurring segment, you can always reach out to my socials and let me know. The magic to a good regret that might actually appear on Wheel of Regrets is unusually cheap and a chance of it being a regret. Now, that SE30 I showed you all on Tuesday that I only showed you the pictures of because I didn't bid on it, that is a regret. So, if it's obviously has major issues, that's not a potential regret. It has to have some chance of working. That's kind of my definition. If there's some hope it works or can be made to work, then yes, it's a potential regret candidate. However, if it looks like it went down with the Titanic, no, that's just sadness. Seriously, at least Gutbomb made that analogy, and I had to agree with him. But anyways, all right, now on to the IIsi, because I know that's why you all came here. So Tuesday, we removed all the capacitors off the IIsi logic board. That's what this little pile of capacitors is here. We removed the capacitor off of the NuBus adapter. We did not remove anything off the power supply. I'm trying to find where I put the power supply. And then last night, I put the logic board, the NuBus adapter, and the power supply through the ultrasonic cleaner. So the cleaning regimen I used was, I let it preheat to 42 degrees Celsius because I gave it an hour and a half, and that's where it got to in an hour and a half. So I said, fine, that's all we're going for. At least it's warmer than ambient. It has not had a spa day with vinegar and IPA. It had a spa day with Elmatech Clean A1. And we'll be getting some additional IPA before I put capacitors on. So I did the top side for 5 minutes. So the top side is defined as the side you're seeing here. It'd be the side that would have had the most electrolyte on it. So I did the top side for 5 minutes. And then I flipped it over and did the bottom side for 5 minutes. And then I pulled them out. I looked at the boards, and I thought the bottom sides were pretty much good with 5 minutes. But I then flipped them back over and gave the top side another 5 minutes, and then I called it done. The power supply could have used some more cleaning, but it also still has the original leaky capacitors on it, which could still be leaking, so I decided that it would be best to wait until it's been recapped before I do any more ultrasonic cleaning on it. But I do have to say, though, if you remember what the board looked like before, it's a tremendous improvement, and that will probably improve my sinus health based on reducing the amount that this is going to smell like a rotten fish store. Now, the only one thing about the power supply is, for some reason, and maybe it's because I didn't run it long enough, there is a residue that formed on the bottom of the power supply board that did not... So I did rinse these before I dried them, and obviously there was still something on the board, so... Yeah, now that's just where the electrolyte got in under the solder mask, and there does look like there's a couple traces that are quite possibly broken and are going to need to be repaired. And that's assuming that recapping this and repairing those traces will even make it work, because if you've seen Colin, this does not compute Colin's video where he tried to fix one of these, he never got the power supply to work, so I give it about a 50-50 shot. The NuBus adapter, I'm happy to say that there was some mystery black gunk on the solder mask, and it does look like that pretty much went away with the ultrasonic cleaning. I am going to hit a little bit of IPA here and here just to make sure it's clean, because it looks like there is a little bit of scuzz left over. Maybe I didn't get it rinsed real well, but otherwise... That board's pretty clean. I can probably replace that capacitor, clean it with IPA, and probably won't have to run it through the ultrasonic cleaner again, because that's pretty clean. All right, the logic board. Actually, let me see if I could zoom in a little closer. Oh, I think I nailed where the zoom needed to go to, because I think any closer and it won't focus. So if you'll remember, this row of bus transceivers, which I believe are to switch the memory, the onboard memory between the processor and the video. They were quite fuzzy looking and maybe a little green. And while they're not perfect, and I give them about a 50-50 shot of working, they definitely did clean up. Unfortunately, if I have to replace one of those, I don't know that I have any ALS 245s. I will check, though. I might. And we're going to look at the traces underneath the electrolytic capacitors closely with the microscope to make sure there's no broken traces in or under or around the electrolytic caps before I recap it, because it will be easier to fix that now than later. But for the most part, those look fine there. Let me see here. I'm looking to where they are. I'm kind of concerned about one of the traces there, although that could just be a dark spot on the solder mask. Yeah, that one's probably fine. That one's probably fine. Those are through hole. I don't think the through hole one's leaked, so I'm not really worried about that. I think those are fine. Unfortunately, the capacitor that was there fell off the board, and I don't know what value it was, so I'll have to look at a schematic and figure out what that one was. I unfortunately did not find a capacitor floating around the case, probably because it was so small it probably fell out of the case a long time ago. Or it's going to be stuck in the floppy drive, which I have not disassembled yet. Anyways. Yeah, Kib says, don't end up like Adrian with 12 volts to data bus. Yeah, that's why I'm going to check with the microscope and make sure there's no... I'm also going to make sure I didn't expose any traces under the caps. But it does look like, for the most part, the traces that go under the caps on this board are connected to one of the pads anyways, so... Jesse says, no disassemble. So we might be good there. As for the rest of the chips I was concerned about, I think the SCSI chip cleaned up nicely, because it was looking kind of scuzzy. The filter, okay, that one filter there, I am a bit concerned about. So, it is quite possible the modem port is not going to work. But at least I think I got most of what was on it off, so hopefully it won't get any worse. And I think that was really the worst of it, was around that filter. There's bus transceivers there. I guess a little... No, actually, I think that chipset there was fine. It was the SCSI chip. The egret chip, or whatever they called it on the IIsi, that, fortunately, was okay. Because it does look like around that area of the board, Apple put tantalum capacitors. So... And yeah, this right here is tinned because I was afraid that was broken and I already checked it, but that's fine. So that's the pad that's missing from the capacitor that fell off a long time ago. I'm hoping that that's not important for getting it to work, because honestly, it looks like it might actually be a decoupling capacitor on the speaker LED circuit, maybe? Okay, so if the speaker doesn't work, then that could be the reason. Or it may be going to an inner layer. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about it too much right now. Fortunately, I think the processor's fine. I think the battery looks fine. So, yeah, I think we'll be good. Alright. Let's go ahead and warm up the soldering iron here. I did want to... Oh. Well, I guess I'll put my nerd glasses on now. But... so I don't forget to do it later. Alright, so let's move the microscope in and let's take a look at... Take a look at the board. Underneath all these capacitors, I just want to make sure... Alright. Alright, so that looks good there. The one trace underneath is connected to one of the two pads, so I'll just want to be careful when I align the capacitor. So that's fine. Let's see here. Where's that? Is that... Let's see... Oh, yep, okay, that's the first one there. Alright, again, it looks like the one trace under it is connected to one of the pads. The next one over, yep. The only trace underneath it is connected to one of the pads. And finally, this one... Yeah, no traces directly underneath. Looks like the microscope is full of water as a lens. Yeah, it's not the greatest of microscopes. It is, yeah, it is magnifying the slightest move. Alright. Next capacitors, I think, are the two by the power connector. Please bear with me as I move the microscope. Alright, so I think there's the next capacitor. Alright. Doesn't look like I'm also trying to inspect the solder mask. Just to make sure I didn't break it. Whoop. I went too far over. There's the capacitor. Oh, let's see. There's one of the pads there. And there's the other pad. So that one... Alright, I will want to make sure I get the positive pad, because the pads on tantalums go underneath the capacitor. I will want to make sure I get it far enough so that it's not accidentally touching that corner of the V-shape there. But I think that should be easy to do. There's enough space there. Alright, let's see here. The next capacitor is this one here. Ah! Looks like we have our friend, the blob of glue, still present. Since I did the snip and the snip method to get the capacitors off, I wouldn't have heated the board to have melted the glue, but yeah, that. Well, actually, well, no. I did want to inspect the traces, so let me see if I can persuade this glue to. Oh, wait. Do I see the traces far enough to do a. Oh! Actually, I think I see where the traces go well enough that I'll just do a continuity test. I'll leave the glue there. It's not hurting anything. Alright. Here's the... Alright, so there's the capacitor. There. That's on that front side of the board. And there's the trace that I tinned after I removed the solder mask to check it, because there's that capacitor there. I don't remember the legend, but yeah, the pad is like entirely gone on the one side, and I don't have the capacitor. I think it's just a little ceramic capacitor, and I suspect the board will power up without it, but it's possible that possible everything might work. It's possible it may affect SCSI or the speaker. We'll find out. All right, and that one there, that looks good. So far. Oh, yeah, and that looks fine there. And there's that little dark spot, and that just looks like solder mask. Although that is one of the spots that I was going to hit with some isopropyl alcohol, because it looks like I didn't quite get it clean. Or maybe that's just discoloration of the solder mask, okay? Moving along. Yeah, maybe that is just the solder mask discolored in this area. Yeah, nothing's really coming up off the board. Okay. Alright, so I would say that it does look like you're good. Oh, hi, Steve. We got Mac 84 in the chat. Eep. We have Stian O. Hope I'm Wild Eep, and says Wild Eep at that. Yep. Hope I pronounced your name right. Steve says it's only slightly discolored. Yep. So I think the only spot that I want to double check is, let me see if I can get it on camera. Oh, yeah, there we go. It was... Oh. There we go. It was there because the traces are running under a blob of glue. And it's the glue that Apple put there to hold the capacitor, or, well, whoever made the board for Apple. I don't know if Apple was doing surface mount assembly at the time or if they outsourced that, but whoever did the logic board for Apple and put the surface mount components on it applied some glue to that cap to hold it on the board while it went through reflow. Oh, and we have Mr. Mr. Tech Gadget. Welcome. Yes, delicious glue, as Steve says. I just want to check to make sure there's no trace breaks here. So, let's see here. Wow, these are some really tiny traces. Alright, so I think one of the traces is there. Nope, that one's one that's clearly not under the glue. And then I think the next one is that via there. And it goes, I think, to one of these ROM lines. Yep, okay. Goes there. And there's not a handy via there. All right, I'm pretty sure that's fine. All right, we're going to assume it's fine and move on and potentially pay the price later. All right, so this might be one of the easier recap kits because there are only two values of capacitors. And one of the two values is through-hole. So all you got to do is put the through-hole caps where the through-hole caps were, and the tantalum caps where the electrolytic ones went. And it does not matter which tantalum you use for which electrolytic position, because they were all the same value electrolytic to begin with. And the two through-hole capacitors were the same value to begin with. I mean, how much simpler could it have gotten? Yeah, no, Apple could have just used all tantalum caps to begin with. Yeah, it could have been that much simpler, but nope. That wouldn't have hit Apple's price target on the Mac IIsi. Alright, so I usually bend these axial caps so that you can still read the value of them even after they're in. And alright. Hold, please. Okay, that V is clear. That V is clear. Oh, Alright, what appears if I didn't quite get two of the V's clear enough. Alright. Oh, hey, Gapom and Trina's Technobabble, welcome! Alright, let's try this. No, that's too big. Is that the right size needle? Nope, that one's going to be too big. Oh! Alright. It appears if I have lost one of the soldering needles in that kit. Alright, do I have a second kit? And we have Frogman and Rudy's Retro Intel. Welcome! Alright. Let me try that. We'll use a header pin. I'm just trying to see if it's a... Because the VIA looks clear. But it won't... I can't fit a capacitor leg through it. I'm just trying to see if maybe... No, it would appear... Well, it would appear as if there's still some solder in it. Alright, well, let's, Alright, let's put some more fresh solder down in the via. And ooh, that actually looks... Ah, there we go. Alright, that one's clear now. That one was already clear. That one was already clear, so we need to do the same thing to this other one here. I just didn't get all the solder out on Tuesday. And I feel like I might have missed some chat, so I'll have to... Oh. Alright. Well, that via... Alright. Hold, please. Looks like I'm going to have to apply some more persuasion. Alright, so let me... I have all my heat-producing items on the bench on smart outlets because they are programmed to turn off at a certain time of the night. So, in the event I forgot to turn something off, it would eventually turn itself off. I'm going to add some heat to the board here. In fact, actually, maybe I will heat the other side of the board to protect that plastic socket. There we go. I'm trying to clear the via so I can get the cap in. I believe it is on the ground plane, so that's probably why it's soaking up the heat. Alright. Alright, so let's try that. Alright. Now, did I clear it? Yes, alright. We are good. I have cleared the through-hole vias. Alright, let me catch up with chat momentarily. Trina says I'll be channeling Mac 84 tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern and testing some floppy disks. Oh yeah, I heard about Steve's stream while I was looking at Discord briefly while in the process of making sure the trash got out. Yeah. I'll have to catch it later. Let's see here. Stian O says to Trina, my favorite name experience was when a customer at work exclaimed, I can't pronounce your name, I'm just going to call you Fred. Oh. Rudy's Retro Motorola. Well, that could be a second channel name. It's like if I had a second channel, it would probably be called Justin DVD Morgan. Where I guess I would review old DVD releases. And now I'm afraid I might have just signed myself up for something. Sadmax says the DVDs, yeah. Oh, well, that capacitor... Oh, well, I guess it doesn't quite as neatly fit there as I thought it would, so we'll, Alright, well, there we go. Close enough. The important thing is the negative is pointing to negative, and the positive is going to positive. Alright, so I think for this one I will... You try to bend the legs like that. I think it's okay if these are a little bit off the board. I don't think there's anything when you put it together that is so space constrained that those can't be a little bit off the board. There we go. All right. Okay, there we go. A box of DVDs. No, it won't launch this weekend. I'm getting ready for VCF East, which is next weekend. So I guess if you want to donate DVDs to the second channel that hasn't started yet, but I'll probably get right on starting to set it up. Well, I'll be at VCF East and you can hand them to me there. Jesse says, Global Talk setup does not like internet glitch. Also, I have to admit, I've been dreading to pull all the Warner Brothers DVDs off of my DVD shelf to see what they look like. Although, supposedly, if your Warner Brothers DVDs are suffering from disc rot, apparently Warner Brothers is honoring returns. At least they were at some point late last year. Now, I think they said that if they still produce the movie, then they can replace your disc, otherwise you'll have to, like, exchange it for something else. So at some point I will pull my Warner Brothers DVDs and make sure that they aren't rotting, because apparently that one of their manufacturing plants was not producing quality discs in the late aughts. And I do know I have several Warner Brothers titles that are known to suffer from the problem if they were made at that factory during the time period in question, so... And at least one of them is a DVD set that I would be afraid might actually be out of production. It's Babylon 5. It's also a set that I realized that there's no use in waiting for the Blu-ray, because that will probably never come out on Blu-ray. Because I think I heard somewhere that they lost the files that would be needed to upscale the CGI animations. Or Well, lost or never retained one. I don't know which is actually correct. Trina says nothing really lost if you lose the Babylon 5 DVD set. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Stian says, with Star Trek, we were lucky to get the original series and Next Generation on Blu-ray, but the Next Generation didn't sell well enough, so no remastering of DS9. Yeah. That is, unfortunately, the name of the game. They only do it while it's profitable. It's the first rule of acquisition. You don't remaster the next series on Blu-ray unless the previous one made you a profit. I mean, you all knew that the Ferengi rules of acquisition had to start somewhere, and in reality, they started in Paramount's offices, not on Ferenginar. Trina says, just watch the better series called Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Yeah. Mr. Tech Gadget says, I bought all of those remasters. I should probably buy the rest of the remasters, even though it's now too late for it to make a difference. But I have some of them, but things came up and I never finished buying the remaster set. But I do like the Next Generation enough that I probably at some point will finish buying the remasters. Because unlike certain sci-fi series' remasters, which are an abomination compared to the original, George Lucas! The Next Generation remasters were tastefully done. And Rudy, I think, was on the same thought of Train. He's saying, I have the original Star Wars trilogy on VHS. Yes. Hi, Jeremy. Welcome. We have Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack here. Alright, so let's get these tantalum caps on this board so we can... Oh, that's right! I do remember that they did have them in the theater. What was it, the Encounter at Farpoint that they actually had in theaters? For a limited engagement or something? Oh, and did they do the Best of Both Worlds as well? Yeah, I think they might have done that at a slightly awkward time where... I'm not sure there was a theater to actually go to around here, because they were, they tore the... It was while they had torn the old one down, and they were still constructing the new one, I believe. Or something like that. Yeah, Mr. Tech Gadget says, yeah, Encounter at Farpoint and one other, but can't recall. Yeah, I don't remember if it was the Best of Both Worlds, or if it was maybe... yeah, I mean, it could have just as easily been the season finale. But I was thinking it was... Yeah, Best of Both Worlds was later. Alright, let's see here. I'm just gonna get these capacitors on in no particular order, other than probably get the more technically challenging ones first, but let me just go ahead and put some flux on all the pads, because this is tacky flux and it'll kind of help hold caps in place. And also let me have a chance to count capacitors to make sure I have enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because I think there should be 11. 8. Oh, yeah. 9. 10. Yeah, there it is. 11. Yep, I believe it's 11 on the logic board. Stiano says, man, I miss drive-ins. The swap shop drive-in in Fort Lauderdale closed after the pandemic. I don't even know where to find one anymore. Rudy says, my town still has one, does amazing business. Jeremy says, I remember watching the original Footloose at a drive-in theater in San Antonio in the early 80s. I think there is a drive-in theater down in Lexington, I believe. Although I don't know if it's still open. I'm pretty sure it's in Lexington. I may have to go check that out sometime, if it's still open. Alright, let me check a cap guide real quick. I'm pretty sure that 11 is... Yes, 11 is the correct number. So, oh, and I should have, I think, 13 caps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Because I think Console 5 includes a couple of extra tantalums, because if you have a 2SI, then there is a very good chance that you either have a PDS adapter or a NuBus adapter, which also has 1 or 2 caps on it. In my case, I have the NuBus adapter, and it has 1 cap on it. Rudy says, I want to see Justin stream at a drive-in. Well, maybe if I can get up to 1 million subscribers, then maybe I might be able to make it happen at a drive-in somewhere. Heck, if my live stream's on a drive-through somewhere, then I'll buy popcorn for the first night. Popcorn, that sounds really good. Alright, I have... Oh, there we go. I have not misplaced my tweezers. I knew exactly where they were the whole time. Apparently, they were just hiding in the drawer. Alright. So, I am going to... Alright. Well, it's not the, Ah, there we go. That looks better. Alright. Let's see if I can... There's that. Ah, good night, Rudy. Mr. Tech Gadget, anyone know of a Power Mac 8100 power supply cap replacement guide? I am not aware of one. I was thinking I saw that Console5 had a cap kit for one of the Power Mac series, but I don't remember which one. I don't know if Bruce... Actually, I am on Recap a Mac. Bruce has the Power Mac 6100, but not the power supply for it, so... That's the newest Bruce has. Yeah, I think the Power PC, Power Mac still are largely undocumented for recapping, because I don't know if it's because Apple used better caps on them because they were a higher end product, or if it's just because they're now getting to the same age as other Macs got to before they needed recapped. But yeah, it's just, I don't think there's a lot of recap guides for them yet, because I guess we're just now getting to the point where those Macs are, what, 30 years old? Oh, or yeah, to your point, it's possible that enough time had elapsed that the electrolytic caps were better. Because you're right, I'm not sure Apple would have been using better caps, because they were having financial troubles at the time, I believe, because this would have been around the time when they would have come out with the absolutely wonderful and boneheaded clone program. I mean, wonderful for Mac users, because now you can get a Mac at a fraction of the price. Don't buy it from Apple, buy it from one of the clone manufacturers. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and oh, I think there's... Oh, I think there's a little rust on my NuBus card bracket. Let's go ahead and put this back together before I lose the screws. Yeah, it would have been the... Yeah, some of the Mac power supplies do need recapping. I am with you, Stian. The Quicksilver G4 and all the G5s are notorious for power supply failures. Yeah. Those definitely are... probably soon to need recapped if they haven't already. And actually, for some of those power supplies, I'm thinking it may be more severe than just recapping, because I think some of the switching components are just fail, not just capacitors. This power supply is 4 PCBs. Ouch. Yeah, this one's got a daughter board on it. I'm trying to find my Captain tape. I was going to put just a little bit of tape over this rust spot just to keep it from transferring to the PCB. So if you'll bear with me one moment. I think I put my Captain tape in. I think I put it away. Oh, well... But that's weird. If I put it away, I didn't put it away where I should have put it, because it wouldn't have fit in the other drawers. I mean, I guess I could use some gaff tape. All right. Jeremy's asking, are Mac monitors 15 kilohertz? I don't think so. I think the 15 kilohertz monitors are MDA, CGA, EGA, and Hercules. I want to say by the time you get to VGA resolutions, yeah, Stian says 22 kilohertz is sticking in my mind. Yeah. Yeah, I think Amigas... Yeah, Stian says Amigas were famous for 15 kilohertz. But I think the compact Macs were like 22 kilohertz. And I think by the time Macs got to VGA, they were like 30 kilohertz or whatever PC monitors were. And apparently... Well... Bummer. I don't know what I did with my Captain tape. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Alright. Can't find the Captain tape. Alright. Backup is... Oh, I was kind of wanting to use Captain tape because I thought it would pretty much be non-conductive and... Yeah, Jesse says CGA is 100% 15 kilohertz. Alright. Oh, actually, I just found a little piece of Captain tape, and it might actually be enough of a little piece of Captain tape to do what I want to do. Alright, I'll find the roll later. Seriously, I just want to put something over that little spot of rust. I'll deal with making it look better later. Yeah, I'll at some point, I'll actually pull this back apart and I'll deal with the rust properly. But for tonight, to see if it works... I did want to put the NuBus adapter back in the bracket because if the onboard video doesn't work, this is how I would be able to put a NuBus video card in to see if that works. Stian says, I've never had trouble getting VGA sync off my classic Macs with just a simple adapter, but I did just buy an Amiga 500, and that's going to be fun to get display output from. Yeah, the Macs, some adapters can balk at some of the refresh rates the Macs produce, because they're, I guess, uncommon. Probably non-Visa compliant would be the case, but it's like, I think, like, LCs do 640 by 480 at, like, 66 hertz or something like that, and some adapters, like, my scaler doesn't quite like that resolution. Alright. Oh, Jeremy's sharing a product. I'm curious. Oh, it's an Amiga to component adapter. Ah, yes. Alright, so got the NuBus adapter back together. Went for the easy one first, just because there was one cap on it, and then I could put it back together, which meant those two screws that were sitting to the side were no longer at risk of getting knocked off somewhere. Alright, so I'm just basically going to go through this board. And we'll recap these one at a time. Actually, I think I'm going to start down here on this corner, because it's the easiest one for me to get to. And we'll go from there. So, alright. Alright. Whoops. There we go. And then let me double check. I got this side good. Oh, good. I broke the piece of solder off, so it'll be easier to... Okay, there's that. Oh, let me... I think those are the ROM jumpers. Let me kind of get those back into place before I forget about them. Alright. So, I guess next we'll get the... Let's get this one here by the power connector. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Oh. Oh, hold on. This capacitor looks crooked. Or cattywampus. Alright, it may be because there's a little bit of a... it may just be the angle I'm looking at it. It looks fine. I think once you put the, like, drive cage on top of it, you'll never notice. It'll be fine. Sometimes you gotta know when to just stop trying to get it on the board any straighter, because you're going to cause more damage or risk melting the plastic beside it, all in the name of trying to make it look slightly better. Because there is the plastic power connector that I do have to... Hold on. There we go. Alright. And then... usually just make sure, because I tack the first side on then I solder the second side on, and then usually come back and just make sure that the first side is solid. All right, 2 down, 9 to go. Hi, Mike's Future Retro, welcome. All right, we got the first 2 tantalums on the logic board. Those look good. All right, so now let's get the... How about I'm going to go clockwise around the board. So that means this one by the processor, I'll get that one next. Oh, Jeremy says the side note from something I mentioned Tuesday, the DVD duplicator I found at a local thrift store sold it to me for 50% off today. Nice. That is Justin DVD Morgan approved. Yep, I should have known that I would launch a chip off the board in the name of making it look slightly less crooked. All right, try that again. Luckily, there are a few spare capacitors. All right. Alright. Now, alright, it looks pretty good. The box was open, just the tape on the top, but the device itself has never been taken out of its packaging. Okay, that is interesting that someone would buy a DVD duplicator and never use it. Alright, there we go. So now that should be 3 capacitors. Okay, on around. So we got 2 down here on this corner. Okay, and go ahead and get this one here. Okay. TIAC DVW D11 to be exact. Huh. I think TIAC made a lot of duplicators of various types. Not just like DVD, but I think they made CD and tape duplicators too. And tapes. I know they made tapes. Alright. Let me... Right, there we go. 2 more caps. Nice. All right, so we got 2, 3, 5. So we got 5 caps on. So let's get these 2 in the middle of the board. Frogman says, TIAC was good. Yes. Of course, I guess thinking about it, TIAC made a lot of magnetic products. Floppy drives, floppy disks. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if someone said, you know, they even made 8-track tapes before cassette tapes. Yeah, Mega says cassette mechanisms. Hi, Mega, welcome. Frogman, I found a bunch in the bin someone sold to me. They all work crazily enough. Yeah. Stian says one of my other silly builds is a PC with a 5 1/4 plus 3.5-inch floppy drive for digitization purposes. Yeah, apparently I got the Mario getup going today. Who knows? Tomorrow I might look more like Luigi, but you'll never know. This was more the... Which clean shirt did I find first? It was the red one. Alright, there we go. Alright, so let's see if we can't get these caps soldered. Got one tacked. That one should be tacked as well. Alright, let me see if I can't get the... I think that one solder... That looks like just a bit too much. Alright, well, obviously, I'll check the voltage rails and... Oh yeah, that's fine. Alright. Actually, let me... There we go, that looks better. Ian says, impressive recapping work. I'm pretty sure I'd not just lift pads, but probably burn holes straight through some of the traces. Well, this comes from much practice. I can tell you some of my early recapping jobs were quite possibly contenders for violating the Computing Geneva Convention, if there was such a thing. The first surface mount board I ever recapped is no longer functional. Although, I don't know if my first attempt at recapping is the cause of that, but it probably didn't help. It also probably doesn't help it was an LC, and I think I've got a second... Well, I have come across several LC boards that were very painful to repair. In fact, I think a second LC board that I tried to repair is also no longer functional. Yes, don't forget, Trina is doing some floppy disk archival at 3. And I'd also like to thank Trina in advance for... I don't think she's picked it up yet, but she's going to pick up a computer for me. But yes, Trina, I did get your message that you were successful at getting the money from PayPal and had paid the seller for those, so thank you. I'm getting an Atari 520 ST. So I guess I don't know exactly when I'll have it, but anyways, I guess you can stay tuned for that once. Well, Trina and Trina will pick it up when she gets a chance. And have a good night, Trina. And then we'll work international shipping after she has it in hand. So maybe a little bit before I actually get it, but it came at a good enough price that I realized I could buy it in Canadian funds and even still pay Canadian shipping to have it sent to me, and I would still be ahead. So it's like one of those weird there was at one point where I thought it would never be possible, and then I've come to realize, sometimes it works out that way. The current exchange rate, I'm sure, most certainly helped, because but anyways, yes, so you can stay tuned for that. I'm sure that will be also the condition of the computer also convinced, when Trina was asking, could anyone use this, here's what the seller wants, and I saw the condition of it, I was like, I think since it's in the condition it's in, I can make it work. So it's kind of one of those. There were conditions where I wouldn't have paid that for it and gone through the trouble of shipping it, but in this case, it's in working condition. And the price is right, and the exchange rate is favorable, so it'll be the Atari 520 ST from Canada. It also helps that Canada also uses the same voltage that we do, so I will be able to use it without any funky voltage adapters. So, yeah, Stian says, sometimes things just happen. A few years ago, I got not one but two Next stations after being convinced I would never own a Next. Well, 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, I guess it was 2 years ago. Well, I thought I would never own an SGI workstation, but 2 years ago I bought one. Thanks to Ian, who's one of the VCF volunteers. It was actually one of his eBay regrets. And we negotiated a price that I couldn't refuse. And actually that SGI is still at my feet because it's such a heavy computer. I still haven't moved it from where I put it 2 years ago. It's on the bottom shelf of this table. It's still there. I haven't moved it. That's how heavy it is. It's an Octane. Hi, Eric. Welcome. It's kind of, I leave it there as a reminder of, you know, if there's nothing else to work on, I can try to get IRIX running on it again. Which we'll have another Unix workstation stream sooner rather than later, because we did the ones with the Sun workstation, and I thought those were fun, and apparently the YouTube metrics worked out. So believe me, we'll have another workstation stream at some point. Maybe after VCF East. Who knows? Maybe I might. I don't know that I'm going to have much time for consignment, but still, who knows? Maybe I'll end up with a new workstation or something. I'm also very tempted because I saw the schedule at System Source. They're having a swap meet at the end of April. And even though I'm then going to a computer meetup, I think it's the first weekend of May in Northern Virginia, I'm actually thinking of going to that swap meet at the end of April at System Source. I think they're having a repair workshop as well. So, more to follow. I don't think I'll be selling anything at the swap meet, but it'd be to pick up things at more favorable pricing, because being an exhibitor at VCF East means I don't know that I will necessarily have a lot of time for consignment shopping. Although, I'm hoping that maybe I will find some time to stop by consignment. But anyways. Oh, Stian says, my back gave out unexpectedly about a month ago. Otherwise, I would have had VCF planned. I still want to go, but I'm not sure I'll be able to. Well, if you are there, if you do manage to make it there, I think I am in... I think I'm in exhibit room on... If you look at the... If you see the map, which I'm not sure they've publicly revealed the map yet. I think they might only reveal that next week, but I believe I'm in exhibit room C. I think it's 2C on the map, so... Anyways, that'll at least give you a hint as to when they do reveal the exhibit map. You'll know where to find my exhibit. I think it's fair that I can tell you where I will be. I will, though, because I think part of it is they kind of want to keep some suspense. I will not give too many spoilers away, but I do know some of the other exhibitors are among us. And I'm not referring to that they're going to be flushing someone out the airlock here real soon. Yep, Mike says, the map is up. I've got 2 tables in the island on the outgoing flow of traffic. Yes. Jeremy says you missed Shakespeare by one letter. Yeah. To be or not to be? That is the question. Or the question is for this thing, IIsi or not IIsi? That is the question. Whether it is nobler to attempt to get an LC with a bum egret chip repaired by massive, painful surgery, and I'm butchering the Shakespeare play, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. Ron, Steve, and the other half of the East Coast Retro. Yeah. Have their own room. Yeah. So anyways, yes, I guess since the map is up, yes. Yeah, I think I'm in room 2C. I am on the outgoing flow of traffic. I am beside, I should remember his name, because I actually bought something on eBay from him. He's I think one of the people that runs the Trash Talk podcast. But anyways, he's beside me to the right, or my right. I guess if you're looking at my exhibit, your left, my right. And then across the hall, or across the aisle, I've got Max from Japan and oh, what's the name of their museum? Oh, okay, now I'm going to look it up, because I keep forgetting the name of... Anyways, it's like they're going to have practically a Mac lab across the hall from me. Alright, let me see if they've got... Oh, here we go. The exhibits. Exhibitor list. Oh, there we go. Here's the exhibitor list. I'll go ahead and put a link in the chat if anyone's curious. So I guess if anyone is on the fence. The one I'm trying to think of is the... Oh, okay. It's Fuji Apple's Macs from Japan. And the other display I'm trying to think of the name of is Pittsburgh Classic Mac Lab. And then beside me is the TRS-80 expansion interfaces, Peter Satinsky. Yep. And Alex Satinsky. Yep. Peter, I think, runs the Trash Talk podcast. So... Oh, there we go. There's the map. I'll put the map in the chat if anyone wants to go look at that. And yep, I am in exhibitor room C. And fun fact, my tables are pretty much spot on where Kevin Moonlight and Retrotech Chris's exhibit was 2 years ago. Plus or minus one table. I mean, it's like shifted by one table potentially. But anyways, yeah. And then to my left, your right, if you're walking the exhibit, FujiNet will be on my other side. And it does look like they did put a gap between the tables, either for people to walk between or to make it easier for exhibitors to actually get out of the tables. But yeah, I think it looks like there's going to be some awesome exhibits. And the reason why I'm going to take fewer Macs than I might have otherwise is because the Pittsburgh Classic Mac Lab and the Fuji Apple's displays are across from me. But yeah, I'm still going to try to squeeze. I'm going to somehow squeeze at least a Mac on my exhibit. All right, so we got the IIsi logic board recapped. Is Chris going this year? I don't think he is. So I don't think he is. I'm pretty sure if he does decide to go, he would let me know. What else am I going to be exhibiting? All right, so I am fairly sure I'm going to have a Yamaha music computer. Oh, I should probably preface this with the theme of the show is the sound of vintage. So I'm going to be taking one of my Yamaha music computers along, and for that, I am going to have one of the keyboards that goes with it, because you plug in like a 49 key music keyboard, and I will have a selection of the cartridges you'd plug into it. And yes, Dean says, oh, it will be SID heaven. Yes, there's like an entire exhibit in the same room for Commodore 64 SID sounds, yeah, and beyond, yeah. The Yamaha music computer was an MSX computer. It was like one of the two that were actually sold in the US. So, and it actually did decently well because Yamaha was able to market it towards people that owned their really expensive keyboards, because that computer had software available to make it easier to program said keyboards and synthesizers. Plus, also, I think the music angle probably helped them. But anyway, so I'm going to have one of those. I'm going to be bringing a Color Computer 2 that's got a speech cartridge. I actually bought that at VCF East 2 years ago, so kind of might be appropriate. It's going to make a return trip as a... 2 years ago, it was a consignment purchase, and it will be an exhibit this year, so it's coming back as an exhibit. I think I'm going to bring the Mac Plus that Dave restored the case of, because Mac Pluses don't take a lot of space on the table, and I got to show at least one Mac off. So I think that one's pretty much guaranteed. My Talking 286, I believe, is going to be one of the computers that comes along for the ride for its early attempts in speech synthesis. Yes, it does include speech synthesis software. At least the first disk of has been archived, so I have that installed on it. Now, the BIOS error messages are pre-recorded PCM files, but yeah. Just because that's kind of an interesting entry in the world of computer sound. Don't think I'm going to bring a Commodore 64, just because I think Commodore 64s will be well represented without me bringing one. I am also going to have my first PC rebuild complete with, I will have the blurry photos. In fact, I am probably going to bring the original blurry photos that I have, just so that people can see the photos that I used to rebuild the PC, and then you will be able to see how well I did in rebuilding it, as well as it does have an interesting sound card in it, the ESS 1869, so you'll be able to hear how it sounded. So that one is pretty much, I think, a guarantee. And then, basically, I have 2 6-foot tables I bought earlier this week. I will be setting them up in the basement Saturday, and I will start to arrange things on it to figure out exactly what will fit. I am hoping that there's still space for a few more items. I quite honestly would very much like to bring an NES, because I think it'll fit on the table with a zapper gun for Duck Hunt. Just because I suspect there will probably be more game consoles than normal, but a game console is a computer. If you think about it, it's got RAM, it's got ROM, it's got a processor, it runs software. Game consoles are computers, even if they are special purpose computers. And who doesn't love a good game of Mario Brothers or Duck Hunt? Basically, because I'm thinking of bringing an actual CRT TV for with a switcher, so that a few of the computers and things that would plug into a CRT can actually still be on a CRT. And if I'm going to drag that CRT TV, even though it's 20 inches, you better believe I'm going to, maximize the use of it. And I will also have... I do have stickers and buttons. So if you were stopping by my table, I do have stickers and buttons that are free. I also have some buttons that will be, I guess, pay what you want. Which I will just go ahead and disclaim on my live stream. Free is a valid choice. Basically, yeah. They're kind of some of my premium designs. So, of course, those buttons are kind of to help defray the cost of actually getting there. So, anyways, now, yeah, sounds like a lot to fill the space. Yeah, I know. Maybe when I start to lay it out, I may realize I have dreams of grandiose and it won't fit, but that's why I bought the 2 tables from Sam's Club that I really didn't need otherwise, but that was about the only way I could figure out to actually have 2 tables and no restrictions on what I could do with them or how long I could use them for. And to make sure they were actually the regulation size table. Because I had asked VCF East what the size of the tables were, so it's kind of one of those. Yeah, to make sure I didn't bring too much, I bought 2 tables. They were, what was $60 a piece? Yeah. I'll be having a party in my basement probably later this year, because that's the only other thing I can use those tables for, I guess. So, yeah, I bought them at Sam's Club, because I have a Sam's Club membership. But yeah, I bought, Stian says I've bought some tables like that at Costco. Yeah, that was, in fact, they are probably very similar to the ones you'd get at Costco, because it seems like Sam's Club and Costco have a lot of the same items when it comes to things like that, and one is one brand and one is another brand, but they are otherwise nearly identical 6-foot folding tables. Yeah. Stian says I use them in the garage to lay out my license plate collection. Stian says, yeah, I'm sure they're from the same factory in Brazil or whatever. Yeah, they probably are. It's just one's probably stamped one brand and one's stamped another brand, and if you really look, both brands might be owned by the same holding company. But they're like different brands, so that Costco and Sam's Club could be like, oh, look at our brand. All right, so we got this logic board. I think it's about time we try to fire it up. So I'm going to, actually, maybe for the first test attempt, I should keep it simple. So we're going to, there should theoretically be onboard RAM. So we'll not put RAM in there. It has onboard ROMs, which is good because I don't have a ROM sim. I did freak out momentarily when I was looking at this on Tuesday when I saw there was no ROM sim, and I was like, where's the ROMs? Where's the ROMs? Where's the ROMs? I will have to put it in the bottom of the case for the chime test. And I'm also going to have to also, we will not be using the original power supply until it's recapped, so let me find a I think what I'm going to use is an ATX adapter, because I could use a 2CI power supply, but it won't really fit the case. And I need to put this in the case so that I can hear the speaker, because the speaker makes contact by some pads on the underside of the logic board. So that's the only way we'll hear the chime, is if I plug that in. Oh, there's my adapter right there. Excellent. So if there we go. There's my ATX power supply adapter. The other cool thing about this is the power supply I use for this testing does have really good short circuit protection. So in the event that there is something wrong and there's a short circuit, then this power supply should cut out very quickly. And let's see here. I do need the power cord. Alright, there's that. And I need to plug the other end of the power cord into the outlet because I unplugged it the other day for reasons. Alright. Alright, and I'm going to turn the smart outlet on. Alright, the power supply seems happy so far. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Well, I don't think it turned on. 3, 2, 1. Alright. So the power supply fan, it spins up and then spins down. I think there is... there may be a short on the board. Something's not happy. Alright. I don't know what the pinout is on this. Alright, let me look up the pinout real quick. Alright, let's see here. No, that is not anywhere close to the pinout. Okay, that's not it. That's not... Okay, I search for IIsi power connector pinout, and I get a whole bunch of pinouts for PC power supplies. That tracks. Seriously, I think search engines are getting worse and worse, not better and better. Alright. Alright, I'm trying to find the pinout. Alternative power supply. Nope. Please continue to hold while I attempt to convince a search engine to give me the answer I want, not the answer it wants to give me. Macintosh II hard disk pinout. No, that is not what I'm looking for. Okay. Oh, that's great. Okay, I found the pinout, but unless I log into the website, I am not going to be allowed to see it. Great. Also, I don't have an account for the site. Alright. Maybe I can see it enough to figure it out. I think... Are these two ground? No. Are these two ground? No. Pin 5 and 6? Oh, I didn't turn the beeps on. Okay, so there's ground. Those three are ground. All right. So that is, I think, plus 12 volts. All right, I don't see shorts there. I think that is 5 volts. I think that is 5 volts. I don't see any shorts there. That is 5 volts. See, that I believe is going to be standby, not connected, negative 12. Ground and ground. Okay. All right, I don't think there's any shorts on this board. So is this computer, like, smart enough to see that I don't have the fan plugged in, maybe? Alright, so I'm going to plug the rear fan in, so at least maybe I can see if it does anything when I hit the power button. Alright, so I do briefly see the power LED and this fan start to spin, and then it turns off. So something is definitely not happy. Probably something in the soft power circuit. Alright, I guess. So I don't see any shorts, but let me pull the thermal camera out. Granted, it's not staying on for very long, but let me see if I see anything on the thermal camera in that brief amount of time when it powers up. Well, I see the little chip on the power board start to glow on the thermal camera, but that's probably normal. Alright. Nope, I don't see. Alright, I don't see anything on the thermal camera. So, no shorts, nothing on the thermal camera. Do I have the power button turned the wrong way, maybe? Nope, I think it's in the... Yeah, I think it's in the correct orientation for... Yeah, because if I turn it 90 degrees, it's going to be in, I think, auto on mode. I mean, I guess I can put the RAM back in. I thought the IIsi would power up with its onboard RAM only, but maybe I guess I could see that. I doubt this is it, but we'll check. All right. Nope. Didn't. Maybe it's that. Nope. All right. I don't think that was it. All right. Oh, you know, I just thought of something. Okay, there are a few Macs that do weird things when you don't have a battery installed. All right, let me see if I have one of these batteries handy. Alright, I think I'm about to go pull one out of a Mac. Hold, please. Oh. Alright, I'm still trying to find one of those PRAM batteries. I don't know what happened to them. I had a bunch at one time, but I think my good PRAM batteries kept getting confused for dead PRAM batteries. Because I seemingly have 0 of them. Despite the fact of trying to keep some for just such an occasion. Oh, hey, Jack. Welcome. I'm looking for a PRAM battery because I'm not sure if the IIsi requires one. Some of the Mac II series is the PRAM battery is in the soft power circuit, and well, I thought those Mac IIs that required a PRAM battery wouldn't turn on at all. I thought I'd at least rule out that maybe this one requires it to stay on. I guess I could go grab a 2CI power supply in case it doesn't like my ATX adapter. Okay. Well, maybe this power supply will go in. I thought it... Alright. Alright, Jack says... I shouldn't need a PRAM battery. Okay, so... Alright, we got some other problem. Alright. Well, here's a 2CI power supply. Oh. Oh, let me guess. The power... Oh, I can't actually plug this in. Well, Jack, what it's doing is it's not staying on. I see my ATX power supply. I see the LED on it blink. The fan in the ATX power supply and this fan spin briefly. I briefly see the green LED on the IIsi, and then it, like, turns off. I tried to check the power connector, and there were no shorts. Yeah, it doesn't stay on, sounds like a short, but there are no shorts on the power connector. And I looked at it on the thermal camera, and... Yeah, I looked at it on the thermal camera, and the only thing that I saw even faintly glow was the little NOT gate on the power adapter board. So I do know the board is theoretically working, because I see the little SMD component glow faintly, but I don't see anything else on the board glow. Although I just realized that it's possible I have to... Well, let me see. Maybe I've got to power cycle the power supply after doing it. Oh, nope, that's a metal can that I see. What is that component right there? Oh, it's a metal component. Never mind. Oh, wait. Okay, I see there is something that... Oh, very interesting. Yep, there's... Okay, I am seeing something light up when I hit the power button. I'm trying to figure out if it's the... Trying to figure out which chips it is. Okay, it's not those. Oh. Hold it, it's one of these two chips, one of the two SMDs directly behind that, or one of the two yellow chips directly behind that. One of those chips is like lighting up like a... Well, actually, maybe it would help if I'd remove this fan, even though this fan is one of the only ways I'm knowing that it's on. I think the component in question is... underneath it. All right. Hold, please. Squeeze the top of the fan. Right near the top of the case. I had trouble getting it out Tuesday. Granted, I didn't know where to squeeze. I can't get it out. Yeah, I see the little plastic prongs that stick outward, and I'm trying to press them, and they hurt to press. And... I am not able to... Seriously, the fan is like... I think it's stuck on something else. Is it possible to push it downward first? No. It's like pushed down as far downward as it'll go. Alright, hold please while I attempt to figure out what the fan is stuck on. You squeeze at the very... Well, I thought I was told to squeeze at the top of the fan. Did I misunderstand? Alright, I got it. Oh. Jack says I thought it was the top. Maybe I'm misremembering. Muscle memory does these things. Yeah, okay, it was the bottom. Alright, got it out. No worries. Alright. Let me see if I can see... Oh, wait a minute. Actually... Okay, so those are the pads the fan is on. Oh yeah, alright. Oh, it's not getting very hot, but... I think it is... I think it's one of these two chips that's glowing, but if I read the screen correctly, they didn't get very warm. But granted, could also be that short circuit protection is cutting out before it'd have a chance to get significantly warm. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, I think it's actually... I think it's the SMDs before it. I'm gonna dare put my finger on them. Alright. Alright, so I got the laser. Yeah, I think it's the yellow... I don't know if that means they're shorted, but... Alright, I guess we're gonna have to... figure out what they are and measure them. Because... they don't seem to be getting very hot, but they also seem to be the only thing that glows before it shuts off. Which kind of tells me that they might actually be shorted. And they did look pretty crummy before I ultrasonically cleaned the board. Well, one of them does still look pretty crummy. Maybe... Oh yeah, that does look pretty crummy. Apparently... yeah, there might be some issues in that section of the board. That is a... something. Check for solder balls first. Oh. Yeah. Jack says, maybe check for solder balls first. This is the point at which I often check to see if adjacent pins have continuity, and then make sure that's correct. Yeah, this part of the board does look pretty gnarly. I will... Although, quite honestly, I would have thought that if we were... I'm thinking, if this is the component I think it is, we should have continuity through... Continuity through it. But I don't have a schematic pulled up. So there's 0 ohms. Okay, so that's 50 ohms. It's 47.6. Okay, apparently... Let me turn off the beep mode, because that's not really helpful when the resistance is, like, right around the threshold of where it... I think they're resistor packs. I think that is what they are. I don't know what the pinout's supposed to be, though. Alright. I think these first pins here go straight through. That does match the other one. Wow, I cannot see the... Alright, so that's 50 ohms. That's 50 ohms. That's 50 ohms. Well, good night, Eric. You know, you're right, Jack. I think I would expect these to get warm. Although, I mean... But I'm not too crazy over what the board in this corner looks like. I know this is contact cleaner, but metal legs are contacts, right? Well, interestingly enough, it does appear to have shined the pins up some. Well, I wouldn't expect, if the traces were eaten through in this area of the board, that would keep it from powering up. Because this is the serial and the printer and modem port. Because I can see where these traces are going. Now, I know System 7 cares about the serial ports more than System 6, but we're not even anywhere close to System 7 yet. Where's the SMC? there is no SMC. It would be the egret chip, and the egret chip is all the way clear over here. Which, at least for once, it's like nowhere near an electrolytic capacitor. So I'm fairly sure that's fine. Yeah, that is the least of my worries. I mean, there is a missing capacitor on the front of the board, but I wouldn't expect a missing capacitor to cause the board to not power up. What's near the power button? Looks like there's a tantalum capacitor. There's an LM something or other. Couple logic chips. There's the Sony sound chips. Take a look at those traces under the microscope. I mean, that has to be the egret chip because it's got a Motorola logo on it. All right. Well, it's not the only board I've seen on a Mac where the egret chip was quite a ways away from the power button. I suspect Apple did that because they were probably trying to get the sound circuitry closer to the headphone and speaker jack. Because I think that's the audio amplifier right there. And that's probably another amplifier for audio. Because the Sony sound chips are like right there and there. Alright, I am kind of going quickly through this. Stop me if you see anything suspicious. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not going to deny that a trace going to the egret might not have a problem, but... Oh, surely that's not our trace break right there, right under the power switch, is it? Nope, I think that might actually just be something on the PCB. Trace break or annoying shmoo on the board. Well, your guess is as good as mine. Well, that might... I might have to remove the power switch to look at that. Okay, that would be weird that... Hold on, let me see if I can tell what that trace is. I mean, it's definitely going under the power switch. Oh, well, I'm not an electronics expert either. I'm learning. I mean, that sure looks like a compromised trace right there. Sloopy says, I know where the on button's located. Well, hi, Sloopy. Well, the on button doesn't turn it on for very long. It then turns itself off. I gotta remove the power switch to investigate that further because that is where that suspicious looking spot on the trace is right under the power switch, and I cannot get to it with the scalpel without removing the power switch. Of course means I'm going to risk ruining the power switch. Come on. Alright, I'm going to... that was a tasty smell of fish I just got. Which is weird. I ultrasonically... my desoldering station, I do not have a tip large enough for the connector, or the pins on this power switch, because they're huge. I mean, at least that's one thing Apple did right. They used a power switch that had pins that would give enough solder contact to last for many on-off cycles. Well, I usually have decent luck desoldering them with solder braid too, but there's a rather large ground plane around here. Yes, it is being very difficult. And I don't have a spare, so I'm hoping that I can get it off without melting the contacts inside of it. Because I do not have a spare switch. Yes, it is being very stubborn. Alright. Nope, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Oh wow, okay. That was low melt solder, if anyone was wondering. I was hoping that maybe that would convince whatever solder's left in the via that's not coming out to vamoose. Oh, there we go. Alright, I got the switch out. Finally. Alright, so let me... clean up the desolder job. So I don't get low melt. Well, in other words, Sloopy, that was me telling the power switch that it was no longer a request that it desolder. Luckily, I didn't have to go to the blowtorch. Because power switches can't stay on the board if they're molten plastic. No, don't worry. I would have never taken a blowtorch to a Macintosh logic board. I mean, I even cringed when Adrian said he did that to get some ISA slots off a bad motherboard by using a blowtorch to melt the solder that way. I'm like, okay, even I find that's a bit wrong button. There we go. Accidentally turned the stream off. Luckily, I turned it back on again. So I think that is that trace that looked suspicious. And it still looks a bit suspicious. Stian says, I would have done that to reflow the solder on my iMac GPU. Oh, it caused you that much pain, huh? Would have reflowed the rest of the iMac too, but I'd be okay with that. Hi, Dave. Welcome. We're trying to figure out why the Mac turns off very quickly after I try to turn it on. And I'm actually not sure that's a broken trace. Actually, that is looking less and less like a broken trace now. Check says, is that a break? Sure looks like it. Alright, so there's the via. And yeah, there's continuity between the via and that point there. I mean, I'm with you. It looks like a break, but it's not a break. I will. Oh. I mean, I will go ahead and, I guess, tin it here. Oh, it'd probably help if I had solder on my soldering iron. Just needs a little dab. Alright, so if that was a weak... Where does the pad on the top right go to? I don't... I don't know where the trace goes to. There's a lot in this area. To the left. I don't know. I think that's just a via. I think it's a via coming from the underside of the board and going to an inner layer. And I guess it's not a blind via. I think that's what they call vias that don't... Oh, wait. No, blind via is a via that's completely inside the board. Anyways, I think that's coming from the bottom of the board and going to an inner layer. Perhaps that was left there as a test point or something. I don't know. But I don't think there's a trace there. Alright, well... I mean, I almost would be tempted to maybe remove... Alright. I know the area around this board, around that filter, looks bad, but I don't think that's necessarily going to keep it from powering on. Because I don't think this filter... I think the filter's... The schematic shows only 2 pins on the power switch, but they're not labeled which ones. Oh, great. Because there's definitely... There are 6 pins on the power switch. Alright, because we're about 10 minutes from the end of the stream, so I am going to... Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit with the microscope. So at least we can see a little bit more. And I'm going to concentrate around the areas where the capacitors were. And I'm going to look for broken traces. Okay, those are the sound chips. I'm really trying to look for a broken trace that might result in something not latching on. For now, I am purposely skipping the area of the board between the serial transceivers and the ports, because I'm kind of thinking if that area's a mess, that the board should be able to power on, but we'd probably fail to boot System 7 successfully. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think the serial ports are going to keep it from powering up entirely. Also, I think it's kind of weird when you see AMD and Intel logos in a Macintosh. From this era, at least. But yeah, I know, that's a PAL, so AMD made PAL chips. I mean, that does look somewhat suspect, but I'm thinking that is just the solder mask. So maybe I will flag that with a yellow dot to remind me to, if I don't see anything that looks obviously broken, that I'll come back and look at that as a... But that kind of there almost looks like variation in the solder mask, not a break. So I'm going to flag that and we'll move on because we're running low on time. I'm trying to find the potential quick win for a chime before midnight. Oh, interesting. There's a 7905 on the board. Huh. It would have been near the electrolyte. But I don't know. I think those are usually... fairly reliable. Here's the ROMs. Alright. There is something that maybe someone... if someone's got the schematic open... it's, Alright, I'll check that. So, it's this capacitor here, which unfortunately I had to scrape the component designator off the board to check the trace that's beside it, which that trace wasn't broken. I think it might have been like C38 maybe? I'd have to go back and watch my live stream. Oh, Jack says I can just look at a 2SI board. Let me grab one. Okay, so this is... So the SCSI port is right here. So there's the SCSI port, which I believe is designated J17. So there should be an R35, and to the left of it, there was a capacitor. Oh, yeah, I can zoom out on the board. So there you go. All right. And actually, if you look at the board, if you can tell what capacitor it was, then I guess one thing I could do is... I guess we could make sure that there's not a short there. I thought I checked it, but... Okay, good. There's no short. It's half a mega ohm, so there is no short. Just in the chance that this capacitor is missing because it actually blew off the board. But I think the electrolyte from this electrolytic that would have been here probably just ate it off the board. I'm thinking it's going to end up being like a little probably a standard ceramic value. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like the C33 and I think that was C37. It wouldn't surprise me if it's another cap just like those. I guess it's at least worth investigating what that cap is supposed to do. But Jack said, while Jack goes and looks at the board, let's see if I can find a connection, which I'm going to go to full cam here, between the egret pin 25 and one of the power switch pins. Okay. Don't know which one, so it may take me 6, but alright. So, egret, I don't remember how many pins. Oh, I think it's like 32. Or is it 40? Oh, it's 28 pins, so it's going to be pin 28, 27, 26, 25. All right. Nope. 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 Yes. Yes, we do have a connection between that pin and pin 25 on the egret. C39, yes. Bottom left to J17 next to pin 1, yes. So it's C39. Hey, I was close. Yeah, can you tell what C39 is? I'm gonna... Hopefully I remember the purple dot is to remind me which pin goes to the egret, aka the power pin. Looking to see what value that is. Because I guess worst comes to worst, I can, well, at some point I gotta order some parts from Mauser, so... I guess worst comes to worst, that'll just let me know what I need to order. C39, I guess... I'm going to try to pull up the schematic so I can try to figure out what that does. Alright. Oh, please tell me that someone's redrawn this from the Beaumark schematics. No, of course not. Alright. C41 to 43. Of course not. I mean, I guess there's always a chance that there was not a capacitor there to begin with. It also could be that it's just a standard value. Oh wait, but yours had a capacitor. Could be one that was put on the layout, but not necessarily made it to the schematic. Maybe not all boards have it. I mean, I've seen capacitors that are not populated on everything, so maybe it's a capacitor that wasn't populated on everything, and whatever board Beaumark used to make their schematics, maybe it didn't have it. I mean, I'm kind of thinking this board had one because of the way the pad's ripped off, but I guess that's not to say that electrolyte couldn't make the pad eat the pad off the board without there being a capacitor there. I mean, electrolyte is somewhat corrosive. Oh, there's a picture of an octopus on these schematics. That's interesting. 85C80, is that the SCSI chip? Modem printer. There it is, SCSI. Oh, no, it's going to be a little ceramic capacitor, so it's probably not 47 microfarad. It's probably like 100 nanofarads or something. It's probably the same value as these here, if anything, because it's just a little ceramic capacitor. All right, it's about time to end the stream. Let me see if I can zoom into a capacitor that's like the one that I think is missing. Granted, it's an educated guess, but... it looks like it's a, looks like it says 1A4. I think it's going to be a 1A4. Whatever that is. Which my guess would be... My guess is going to be it's going to be like a 10 or 100 nanofarad. Little ceramic cap. C39, yeah. Oh, hi, Sylvestron. I don't think I said hi. Chat can go by so fast. I think it's going to be a little 1A4, whatever that is. That's my guess. Oh, Sylvestron says it's on the first page of the Bowmark schematics next to the 7905. Next to the 7905? The 7905 is nowhere close to that. Okay, Oh yeah, right there it is. It's 0.1. There's C39. It's a 0.1. That's the value. Oh yeah, that's a little ceramic cap on the negative 12 volt rail. Which is used for filtering. And yeah, the 7905 would use the negative 12 volt rail to make negative 5 volts. Yeah. That's just a little 0.1 ceramic cap. There's the value. That's what I need. I guess I'll have to go try to... I may have one. Yeah, it's... Oh, Sylvester, the reason why I'm wondering what it is because the cap on my board's missing. If I can find it. That's all that's left of C39 on my board. I didn't think that would be responsible for no power up, but it was low-hanging fruit. But I think now I know that no 0.1, a little 0.1 ceramic cap should not be the difference between the 7905 being able to do its job and not. It's just a little filter cap. Yeah, no problem. So, all right. I guess I'm going to... this is where I'm going to have to call the stream for tonight, because it's past midnight, and I do have to go to work tomorrow. So, I guess this IIsi mystery will continue for another day. Not next week, though, because next week, Tuesday, is going to be a VCF East preparation stream. So I'll be working on whatever I need to make an exhibit happen. Final repairs. It'll be practically the last minute. Next Thursday, I will not be streaming because I will be packing my car. And once I'm done packing my car, I am going to go to bed early so that I can get up early and leave early Friday morning. So that I can probably ultimately not beat DC and Baltimore rush hour traffic, but yeah. Because I kind of want to try to get to VCF. Yeah, I'm driving to VCF East, yes. Because I've got an exhibit, so I have to drive. There's no way I'm shipping it. Anyways, I'd kind of like to get there about the time the exhibit hall opens so that I have plenty of time to set up so that I don't have to rush. So, yeah. So, yeah, Tuesday is going to be preparing. Thursday, no stream. And then the following Tuesday, I'm going to do a VCF East, debrief stream. So if I manage to pick anything up or see anything cool or whatnot, repair anything that broke in my exhibit, that will be the following Tuesday, just as something that's a slightly easier on me stream, because the thing is I'm going to have driven up Friday, come back on Sunday, and... So anyway, yeah, the following Tuesday will be a debrief stream, whatever that entails. And then I'll be back to probably my more normal rotation of live streams, starting with that Thursday. So we'll get back to the IIsi at some point, but at least for now, this has been, the logic board's been recapped. I don't have to worry about it getting worse. Seems like it's already bad, so it probably won't get worse. Joe's asking, would the soft power switch need to be in permanent on mode since it's not using the stock PSU? Good question. No, it should not need to be, because this adapter board that I'm using, if I can unplug it from the ATX power supply, actually, this is a pretty cool adapter. So this adapter has a little... Oh, so it's got a little LVC 1... is it 1G04? Anyway, I think that's to say a NOT gate or something like that. So anyways, for these Apple power supplies with the 10-pin connector, you connect the soft power on to 5 volts or something like that. The power on signal goes to 5 volts on these 10-pin Macs to turn them on. For an ATX power supply, you have to ground the power on signal. You have to drive it to ground. So I think this inverter is taking care of the difference between the two signals. Sylvester says, hey, there's 100 nanofarad you could use right there. Yeah, it's even the right size to go on the board. Actually, this is actually a good sign, because I'm pretty sure I ordered a bunch of these because they're like dreadfully expensive to order one, but order like a bazillion of them and they're like just as expensive. I ordered the PCBs from a PCB place from their GitHub, and then ordered the parts to make it. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to... Alright. So anyways, long story short, I don't think I have to put the power switch in always on mode, because this board, the adapter board, takes care of the differences in signaling. That is absolutely not readable. It's the ATX to 10-pin desktop Mac PSU adapter. GitHub.com/good luck. If you can hold on a moment, I'll actually... let me actually find that on GitHub. I don't remember which PCB manufacturer I used to order those PCBs, because the clarity of that silkscreen is not helping at all. Granted, it's possible that that text was just too small for... It's possible that text was too small for the standard... hold on, I gotta... There we go. I gotta log into GitHub so I can get you the project name. It's possible that silkscreen text is just too small for the standard cheap manufacturing process for either of them. It's possible if I'd paid for a higher quality board, I could have gotten a finer silkscreen quality. So I don't know that necessarily the fact you can't read that silkscreen is actually a sign of poor manufacturing. Could be a sign that they made their text too small. There are limits to what you can print on silkscreen and be able to still read it. Is that it? That doesn't look like it. Hold on. Is it that one? No, it's not that one. There it is. George Rudolph. There we go. That's it. That's the project. Yeah, that's what we couldn't read on the silk screen. George Rudolph. Yeah, I missed the chat. Okay, so Joe, if you go to the GitHub I put in the chat, then that's where you can get the Gerber files from there, and you can read about the project. And Sylvestron says, I ordered a reel of 1,000 years ago. Still going through it. Yeah. Oh, Stian says, I parsed that wrong and was wondering who sold these 1,000 years ago. Yeah. Jack says, 1,000 years ago, and then everyone just forgot about computers for 900 years after that. Yeah. Yeah, Joe says, well, as long as the device works, then the writing isn't too important. Yep, anyways, that's the adapter board. It should take care of the signaling difference. And I think that's like a little not... It's a single gate inverter is what the description says. SN 74 LVC 1G04 DBVR or compatible. Yeah, part number just rolls off the tongue so smoothly. Stian says to Jack, hey, that did happen with everything from concrete to sewer systems. Yeah. Stian says, the dark ages indeed. Anyways, alright, so we'll get back to the IIsi at some point in the future. At least it's been recapped. We still got some fault finding to do. First step, get it to stay on. I might see if I can get an extension cable that would let me plug in the IIsi power supply into this board. Because, as luck would have it... Well, actually, you know, I could almost do that as long as I don't care about the speaker. You know, I could... Because, you know, there was a note on the... Hold on, what did the note say? Oh! Actually, I just realized that the GitHub says IIsi ? Should be the same. Oh. Okay, we're gonna do one last thing. Well, I don't know how in the world it's going to work because I've desoldered the power switch. Well, maybe if I snap it on, maybe it'll make good enough contact to... Alright, we're going to try one last thing, and then I'm going to end the stream. Because I just realized the GitHub for that project does kind of admit that they weren't sure it would work at the IIsi. The problem is, I have to put the IIsi's power supply in backwards. Because I guess Apple really wanted to make sure that you weren't going to put a IIsi power supply in your IIsi or something like that. Which means I gotta raise the board up. Hold on, I gotta find something to support the IIsi power supply as it's hanging off the side of the... No, that's not going to work. Okay, hold on. I gotta find something to prop the power supply up with. Alright. That's most of the way there. Do I have a little, like... Hold on, you can't see what I'm doing, because I'm fighting with... Oh, there we go. Because, yeah, seriously, that is how you have to put this power supply in. Because they are... Oh, there we go. I think that's actually supported enough. Okay. Because we'll know if it attempts to boot, because it will... The fan on the IIsi power supply will stay on. So, alright. 3, 2, 1. Oh, actually... Wait a minute. You've got to be kidding me. The IIsi power supply is still on. Yeah, I think the problem was that power adapter maybe doesn't work with the IIsi. Alright, is there any way to get the speaker out of the case? Because I don't have a sync on green. No. Alright, hold please. I'm going to have to... Okay, let's see here. 3, 4, and 5, and 8. 3, 4, 5, and 8. Alright. Okay. It's actually making enough contact to turn it on, Jack. Alright, I have no idea. Alright, it's on. I've got a VGA cable plugged in. I don't know if my scaler is going to like the video. It probably won't, but my multi-sync monitor might. No picture. All right. Hold on. All right, let's try one last thing, and then I will call it the night. All right, this is... I just realized. I have the technology. It's also past midnight, so I don't have the... yeah. Okay. It's even a set of beige speakers. Just, don't tell Apple they're Gateway branded. Alright. No chime. Yeah, that was, no chime. I do have those speakers turned up, don't I? Oh yeah, those are turned up. If we had music, we would... Alright, so we are, Okay, so... with a 2CI power supply, we can get it to stay powered up. We get speaker pops. Oh, yeah, we got chips are glowing. Oh. Yeah, we have signs of life. So this chip here? No, not that chip here. This chip here, whatever it is like 50 degrees Celsius according to the thermal camera. The processor, 29 degrees Celsius? 28? The other part of the chipset, yep, the serial... Oh yeah, we got chips glowing. Something... And I don't see anything that's like scorching hot. I also don't see that the ROMs are doing anything. Wait a minute. It's got onboard RAM. Actually, I'm wondering if the problem is not the... Does anyone know what jumper W1 should be for onboard ROMs? I mean, I guess I could put some RAM in it just to make sure. So this is the RAM that came with it, which doesn't really fit that well, but... Oh, no, the clips are just... Alright. Work with me, RAM chips. Oh, I probably just didn't seat it that well. Alright. Alright. Alright, we have extra RAM in it now. I don't think that made a difference. Actually, the RAM chips I just put in don't look like they're getting warm at all. Yeah. Okay, I think I got an idea what might be going on here. I bet we have a missing voltage rail. Alright, I'm going to do one more thing. I don't think it's going to make the difference, because... Yeah, I put a jumper on W1, but I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to have a jumper unless you have a ROM sim. Alright, so I think the next step on a future live stream will be to actually check voltage rails. I know my IIsi I power supply should be working, but given the time, I'm not going to... Oh, wow. I've given you all an extra 30 minutes. Yeah. Do I have address bus activity? That will wait for a future stream, because I really do need to end the stream now. Yeah. Sylvester saying, Justin, end the stream. Leave us on a cliffhanger for the next one. Yeah. All right. So we got a cliffhanger. We got speaker pops. It stays on. To be continued. All right. I'd like to thank you all for joining me tonight. Tempting to get this old IIsi running for Macintosh. Looks like we'll have more work to do in the future. And with that, because it is getting late, I am going to wish you all a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that the YouTube algorithm knows that you like content like this. Hey, suggest my live streams to a friend that might like to see me get these old dinosaurs of a computer up and running again. And, April Tosh, yeah. And, with that, I am going to wish you all a great rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out in the chat, being cool, putting up with me, giving me good suggestions, and prompting me to leave a cliffhanger instead of, like, accidentally streaming until I have to go to work in the morning, because that would be really a disaster. So with that, I'd like to wish you all a great rest of your day. Take care, and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.